Every human with blue eyes shares a single common ancestor who lived near the Black Sea. A single person, a tiny genetic typo, a change in one letter of code. Before this person lived, every Homo sapiens on Earth had brown eyes. Dark, deep, protective brown. For nearly 200,000 years, our species walked the Earth with the same dark gaze. But then a glitch occurred, a mistake in the replication of life. And that mistake spread across continents, oceans, and generations. Today, millions of people carry this ancient signature in their skulls. Yet, if you look closely at a blue eye, you will find something shocking. There is no blue inside it, no blue pigment, no blue chemical, no blue paint. The color is a lie created by physics. It is a trick played by the atmosphere of the body. To understand why this trick happened, we have to travel back into the deep history of our species. We must look at how our ancestors survived under different skies. We must examine how light interacts with the delicate tissues of the face. And we must ask why evolution allowed a visual mistake to conquer the world. Look closely at a human eye. It is a wet landscape, a ring of muscle, a forest of fibers, a dark central pool. The front of the eye is called the iris. It consists of two layers. The back layer is the stroma. The front layer is the epithelium. In almost every human, the back layer is packed with dark melanin. But the front layer is where the variation happens. For most of human history, this front layer was also packed with pigment. Specifically, it held two distinct forms of melanin. Eumelanin, which is dark brown, and pheomelanin, which is reddish yellow. When light hits an eye rich in these pigments, the light is absorbed. The eye looks dark brown. Today, roughly 79% of the global population still carries this original protective gaze. It is the baseline of our species. It is the ancient armor of the optic nerve. But when the front layer lacks this pigment, something strange happens. Light enters the clear fibers of the iris. It bounces around, it collides with microscopic proteins. The longer, red wavelengths of light pass straight through, but the shorter blue wavelengths are scattered, they bend, they bounce back toward the observer. This is the exact same process that makes the sky look blue. It is called Rayleigh scattering. A blue eye is not blue because of pigment. It is blue because it is empty. It is a tiny, localized sky trapped inside a socket of bone. Our eyes do not create color, they capture it. This optical engineering took eons to build. The journey did not begin with humans. It began in ancient oceans. Roughly 480 million years ago, the first complex eyes appeared. They were simple light detectors. Pits on the skin of primitive creatures. These pits could only tell dark from light, but they were enough to guide movement. Over millions of years, these pits deepened. They grew lenses, they grew irises, they grew muscles to focus. By 150 million years ago, early primate ancestors were developing the foundations of our visual system. They needed to find ripe fruit in dark forests. They needed to spot predators hiding in green leaves. Color vision became their greatest weapon. But for these early primates, the eye itself remained dark. The white of the eye, the sclera, was dark. The iris was dark. Darkness protected the delicate internal machinery from the blinding glare of the tropical sun. It kept the image sharp. It prevented light from leaking through the sides of the eyeball. For a forest dweller, a dark eye was a perfect instrument. But as our ancestors stood up, they changed the rules of survival. They left the shadows of the canopy. They entered the open savanna, and they began to look each other in the face. Why did the whites of our eyes become bright white while other primates kept theirs dark? Science is still uncertain. Some researchers believe it allowed us to see where others were looking, to communicate without words, to hunt in silence by following a glance. But while the whites of our eyes became visible, the iris remained dark brown. For hundreds of thousands of years, there was no alternative. Darkness was the only shield. We did not choose our colors. The sun chose them for us. Then humans did what they always do. They walked. They left the intense, predictable sunlight of East Africa. They moved north into Europe and Asia. They encountered cloudy skies, long, dark winters, weak sunlight that barely rose above the horizon. In these cold regions, the rules of survival shifted. The threat of intense ultraviolet radiation faded. A new problem emerged: how to gather enough light to see in the dim forests of the north. And then, a genetic event occurred. In 2008, a team of Danish researchers published a groundbreaking study. They mapped the genetics of blue-eyed individuals across different countries. They looked at people in Denmark, people in Turkey, people in Jordan, and they found something extraordinary. Every single person with blue eyes shared the exact same genetic mutation, a mutation that occurred roughly 10,000 years ago. This was the Neolithic expansion, the dawn of agriculture, a time when humans were transitioning from hunting to farming. The mutation did not happen in the gene that actually makes blue eyes. It happened in a nearby gene called HERK2. This gene acts like a light switch. It regulates another gene called OCA2. The OCA2 gene is responsible for producing melanin in the iris. The mutation did not turn the gene off completely. It simply turned down the volume. It limited the amount of melanin the eye could produce. Instead of a dark brown shield, the eye was left clear, and the light began to scatter. A single child was born with pale eyes, a child who looked different from everyone else in their tribe. In a world of uniform brown, this child carried a mutation that would alter the visual landscape of the planet. We do not know where this child was born, but we know their legacy. A mistake in the code became a window to the world. For decades, school biology textbooks taught a simple story. They said eye color was a basic genetic equation. Brown was dominant, blue was recessive. Two blue-eyed parents could never have a brown-eyed child. It was clean, it was easy, and it was completely wrong. Modern genetics has shattered this simple model. Today, scientists know that eye color is controlled by at least 16 different genes. It is not a single switch, it is a complex genetic symphony. While the HERK2 and OCA2 genes control about 74% of the variation, the remaining percentage is a chaotic dance of minor genes. These genes control how thick the iris fibers are. They control how the collagen is arranged. They control the distribution of pigment across different layers. This is why eye color is not a simple menu of blue, green, and brown. It is a continuous spectrum. You have hazel eyes, which blend brown and green. You have amber eyes, rich in yellow lepochrome. You have gray eyes, which have very little melanin but very thick collagen fibers that scatter all wavelengths of light equally. You even have heterochromia, where one eye is a different color than the other. This complexity means that genetics is unpredictable. Two parents with dark brown eyes can carry hidden genetic variations. They can pass these down silent for generations until they align. And suddenly a child is born with eyes like ice. How these 16 genes interact is still not fully understood. The exact pathway that creates a green eye versus a hazel eye remains a mystery. But this complexity is why every human eye is unique. Like a fingerprint made of colored glass, nature does not use binary switches, it uses orchestras. But this leaves us with a massive question. Why did this mutation survive? Usually mutations that reduce protection are weeded out by natural selection. A pale eye is more sensitive to sunlight. It suffers more glare, it is more vulnerable to UV damage. In the hot tropics, this mutation would have been an evolutionary disadvantage. So why in the north did it spread so rapidly? Today, about 8% of the global population has blue eyes. In some northern European countries, that number rises to over 80%. How did a genetic mistake become a dominant trait in an entire region? Science offers several competing theories. The first is the vitamin D hypothesis. We know that pale skin helps the body absorb weak northern sunlight to produce vitamin D. Some scientists think pale eyes may have evolved alongside pale skin as part of a general reduction in pigment. But the evidence is weak. The eye is too small to make a difference in vitamin D production. The second theory is visual performance. In the dark, cloudy winters of the far north, a pale eye lets in more light. It might provide slightly better vision in low-light environments. This could have helped ancient hunters spot prey during twilight. But again, the benefit is marginal. The third theory is the most controversial. Sexual selection. When a trait is rare, it is noticed. It is different. It is striking. In ancient human communities, individuals with pale eyes may have been seen as unique. They may have been preferred as mates. This preference would allow the mutation to spread far faster than normal natural selection would allow. Which of these theories is correct? The truth is, science does not know for certain. It may have been a combination of all three, or it may have been simple genetic drift. A small group of early humans, by chance carrying the mutation, became isolated during the last ice age. As their population grew, the mutation grew with them. Survival is not always about strength. Sometimes it is about visibility. Now look at the world today. The old boundaries are dissolving. For thousands of years, eye colors were concentrated in specific regions. Blue in the north, brown near the equator, green in the valleys of Europe and Central Asia. But humanity is no longer static. We fly, we sail, we migrate. The ancient geographical barriers that kept genetic pools isolated have broken down. Today, you can find blue eyes in the crowded streets of Tokyo. You can find deep brown eyes in the snowy villages of northern Sweden. The genetic landscape of humanity is mixing like never before. And this mixing is revealing the true beauty of our genetic code. Because eye color was never about dividing us. It was never a sign of superior adaptation. It was simply a response to different skies, a record of where our ancestors stood when the world was cold and how they looked at each other when the world was warm. When we look into another person's eyes, we are not just looking at their color. We are looking at a historical archive. We are looking at a line of survival that stretches back 480 million years to the first ocean creatures. We are looking at a genetic typo that occurred 10,000 years ago in a single human being. We are